Morning students, this is video number 2, the remaining part of the chapter Human Settlements. Today we shall read about urban settlements. Now, London was the first city where the population reached 1 million in the year 1810. But by 1982, 175 cities in the world had crossed the 1 million population. Presently, 54% of the world's population lives in urban settlements as compared to only 3% in the year 1800. Population is doubling every 50 years since after 1800 to 1950. After that also population is increasing, but it has not doubled. Here is the chart about population. Now, classification of urban settlements. The definition of urban areas varies from one country to another. Some of the common bases of classification are size of the population, occupational structure, and administrative setup. So, on these three criteria, we can classify the urban settlements. So, first let us take population size. First is population size. It also includes density of the population. Now, it is an important criteria for the countries to decide whether it is urban or rural area. The lower limit of the population size for a settlement is to be designated as urban is 1500 in Colombia, 2000 in Argentina, 2500 Argentina and Portugal, 2500 in USA and Thailand, 5000 in India and 30,000 in Japan. Besides the size of population, density of 400 persons per square kilometer and share of non-agricultural workers are also taken into consideration in India. So, some countries have taken as population size as the final decision-making factor for urban settlements, whereas in India we have taken density of population and non-agricultural workers also into consideration when we decide the urban settlements. So, every country has their own numbers. Like I told you just now, 1500 in Colombia and so on. Now, countries with low density of population may choose a lower number as the cutoff figure compared to densely populated countries. In Denmark, Sweden and Finland, all places with a population size of 250 persons are called urban. The minimum population for a city is 300 in Iceland, whereas in Canada and Venezuela it is 1000 persons. So you see the total number of people vary from place to place, area to area, depending upon the conditions, living conditions over there. Then it is decided which area can be termed as rural or urban. So population size and density play an important role. Next is occupational structure. In some countries such as India, the major economic activities, in addition to the size of the population, is designating a settlement as urban are also taken in as a criteria. I told you just now that in India we include non-agricultural workers, the number of non-agricultural workers also as a decision-making factor for urban settlements. If more than 50% of its economically productive population is engaged in non-agricultural pursuits, India has set this criteria at 75%. So other countries have set 50% of the 50% of the people as their criteria for deciding whether it is an urban place or rural. That means 50% of its population should be engaged in non-agricultural activities. But in India, we have taken 75% as the criteria to decide for urban settlements. That means 75% should not be involved in non-agricultural activities. 75% should do non-agricultural works. They should be employed in the secondary and tertiary sectors. Next is administration. Here you can see the administration setup is a criteria for classifying a settlement as urban in some countries, है ना. तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का जो सेटअप होता है वो भी एक क्राइटेरिया है टू डिसाइड वेदर एन एरिया इज अर्बन और रूरल. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, in India, a settlement of any size is classified as urban if it has a municipality, cantonment board or notified area council. तो जहाँ भी अपनी म्यूनिसिपैलिटी है, अपना कंटोनमेंट बोर्ड है, उसको हम अर्बन सेंटर कहते हैं. Similarly, in Latin America, countries such as Brazil and Bolivia, any administrative center is considered urban irrespective of its population size. Population कितनी भी हो, लेकिन अगर वो administrative center है तो उसको urban declare कर देते हैं. Now next is location. Location of a place is also very important deciding factor. Now location means site and situation. So the site of a place, for example, if we are having a holiday resort, so the location of holiday resort will be in different type of conditions. Whereas on the other hand, if it is an industrial town, then presence of many different type of features will be there. For development of an industrial town, there should be availability of land, plenty of land, resources, energy. Many things are required for development of a industrial center. In the same way, if it is a military center, different things will be expected, or if it is a seaport, the requirements will be different. So strategic towns require sites offering natural defense. Mining towns require the presence of economically valuable minerals. Industrial towns generally need local energy supplies or raw materials. है ना, समझ में आ रहा ना ये. Then tourist centers, they require attractive scenery or a marine beach, a spring with medicinal water or historical relics. Ports require a harbor. तो हर एक एरिया की उसके अकॉर्डिंग रिक्वायरमेंट्स फुलफिल्ड होनी चाहिए, तो ही वो वहाँ पे अर्बन सेटलमेंट डेवलप होगा. Now locations of the earliest urban settlements were based on the availability of water, building materials and fertile land. Today, while these considerations still remain valid, modern technology plays a significant role in locating urban settlements far away from the source of these materials. Piped water can be supplied to distant settlement. Building material can be transported from long distances. तो जो अर्लीस्ट ह्यूमन सेटलमेंट्स थे वो ज़्यादातर वहीं डेवलप हुए जहाँ पे पानी अवेलेबल था, बिल्डिंग मटेरियल्स अवेलेबल थे और फर्टाइल लैंड था. लेकिन आज की तारीख में पानी अगर कम है तो पाइप्ड वाटर सप्लाई कैन बी प्रोवाइडेड. अगर मटेरियल, बिल्डिंग मटेरियल नहीं है तो वो ट्रांसपोर्ट होके आ सकता है ना. तो दीज थिंग्स आर नॉट ऑल दैट इम्पॉर्टेंट एज दे वर इन द पास्ट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम साइट, द situation also plays an important role in the expansion of towns. The urban centers which are located close to an urban trade route have experienced rapid development, है ना. अब ये लोकेशन की इम्पोर्टेंस हम देख सकते हैं by the following example. Today most of the IT parks, they are situated in Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad and Chennai. One of the important reason in their favorable location is that they are closer to water bodies, and these water bodies, they are connected with all different countries. Okay, so because of this, employment is also generated in these countries, and all the IT parks have developed in these countries because easy transportation is available because of the presence of water bodies. Next is functions of urban centers. The earliest towns were centers of administrative, trade, industry, defense and religious importance. The significance of defense and religion as differentiating functions has defined in general. but other functions have entered the list. तो जो अर्लीस्ट टाउन्स थे ना, और वो कहाँ डेवलप हुए, जहाँ पे ट्रेड फैसिलिटीज़ थी, जहाँ पे इंडस्ट्रीज सेटअप करने के साधन थे, डिफेंस था उन लोगों के लिए, अपने आप को बचाने के साधन थे, या वहाँ पे कोई रिलीजियस इम्पोर्टेंस थी उस जगह की. लेकिन अब इन फंक्शंस की लिस्ट में और दूसरे फंक्शंस भी एडअप हो गए, जैसे कि आजकल अब लोगों को रिक्रिएशन चाहिए पूरा, देन उनको ट्रांसपोर्ट फैसिलिटीज़ होना चाहिए, माइनिंग होना चाहिए, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग वहाँ पे होनी चाहिए, प्रोडक्शन चलना चाहिए, एंड मोस्ट रिसेंटली एक्टिविटीज़ रिलेटेड टू इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी आर कैरिड ऑन इन स्पेशलाइज्ड टाउन्स. तो अब और इन टाउन्स के और इन अर्बन सेंटर्स के और भी दूसरे फंक्शंस हैं, उनकी भी बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस है. Some of these functions do not necessarily require the urban centers to have any fundamental relationship with their neighboring rural areas. तो कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उनको रूरल एरिया से कनेक्शन है, वो अपने आप इतने अच्छे से वेल डेवलप्ड हो जाते हैं. In spite of towns performing multiple functions, we refer to their dominant function. कि टाउन्स में हालांकि बहुत सारे फंक्शंस होते हैं, बहुत सारी सुविधाएं डेवलप हो जाती है, लेकिन कई बार उन टाउन्स को उनके मेन फंक्शन की वजह से भी जाना जाता है. फॉर एग्जांपल हो सकता है कहीं पे एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस बहुत अच्छे हों, तो वो उस वजह से वो एक एजुकेशनल सेंटर बन जाएगा, एजुकेशन हब बन जाएगा. कहीं पे हो सकता है बहुत अच्छा रिलीजियस सेंटर हो, तो उस वजह से वो जाना जाएगा वो अर्बन सेंटर. तो डिफरेंट रीजंस में बी देयर कि उस वजह से वो पॉपुलर हो जाए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, शेफील्ड इज़ एन इंडस्ट्रियल सिटी, लंदन इज़ नोन एज अ पोर्ट सिटी, चंडीगढ़ इट इज़ एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सिटी, एंड सो ऑन. Large cities, they have rather great diversity of functions because all cities are dynamic and over a period of time may develop new functions. कई बार क्या होता है कि सारी सिटीज़ डायनामिक हैं, उनमें कोई ना कोई चेंज हो रहा है, तो कभी कभी एट टाइम्स इट सो हैपन्स कि उनके फंक्शंस भी चेंज हो जाते हैं. Most of the early 19th century fishing ports in England have now developed tourism. For example, इन्होंने एग्जाम्पल दिया कि इंग्लैंड के जो पहले फिशिंग पोर्ट्स थे बहुत ज़्यादा पॉपुलर थे, लेकिन अब वो वहाँ पे टूरिज्म सेंटर्स बन गए. मैनी ऑफ द ओल्ड मार्केट टाउन्स आर नोन फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्टिविटीज़. जो पुराने मार्केट टाउन्स थे वहाँ पे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्टिविटीज़ भी होने लगी है. Towns and cities are classified into the following categories. अब जो towns और cities है उनको हम different categories में हमने divide कर दिया. First is administrative towns. National capitals which house the administrative offices of central governments. जितने भी capitals हैं जहाँ पे central government के भी offices हैं, such as New Delhi, Canberra, Beijing, Addis Ababa, Washington DC and London, they are called administrative towns. ठीक है ना. फिर provincial towns can also have administrative functions. For example, Victoria, Albany and Chennai, they are also administrative towns. Then second is trading and commercial towns, जहाँ पे trading की वजह से उनकी importance है. तो agricultural market towns such as Winnipeg and Kansas City, banking and financial centers like Frankfurt and Amsterdam, large inland centers like Manchester and St. Louis, and transport nodes such as Lahore, Baghdad and Agra have been important trading centers. Trading की वजह से इनकी importance है. Next is cultural towns, places of pilgrimage which have any religious importance, such as Jerusalem, Mecca, Jagannath Puri and Varanasi, etc. They are considered as cultural towns. These urban centers are of great religious importance. तो इनकी importance क्यों बढ़ी है? Because of the presence of some religious center over there. Additional functions which the cities perform are health and recreation, like in Miami and Panaji, industrial in Pittsburgh and Jamshedpur, mining and quarrying, Broken Hill and Dhanbad, and transport in Singapore and Mughal Sarai. तो इनके ये डिफरेंट रीजंस रहे इन टाउन्स के डेवलप होने के. समझ में आया इतना? नाउ नेक्स्ट इज क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ टाउन्स ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ देयर फॉर्म्स. We have studied different rural forms of settlements. Now here we have classified the towns on the basis of their form. Urban towns, they may be linear, square, star or crescent shape. In fact, the form of settlement, architecture and style of buildings and other structures, they are an outcome of its historical and cultural traditions. कि शुरू से वो टाउन किस तरह से बना हुआ है या वो रिसेंटली प्लान्ड सिटी है जैसे कि चंडीगढ़. ओके, सो टाउन्स एंड सिटीज ऑफ डेवलप्ड एंड डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज, दे रिफ्लेक्ट मार्क्ड डिफरेंसेस इन प्लानिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट. While most cities in developed countries are planned, but most urban settlements of developing countries, they have evolved historically with irregular shapes. ज़्यादातर जो है डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज़ में अर्बन सेंटर्स, वो उनके पीछे कोई हिस्टोरिकल रीज़न रहा है डेवलप होने के लिए, तो वो इतनी प्लान्ड उनकी वो सेटिंग नहीं है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल चंडीगढ़ एंड कैनबरा, दे आर प्लान्ड सिटीज़, while smaller towns in India, they have evolved historically from walled cities to large urban sprawls. Now, like one of the example is Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa, it is the capital of Ethiopia. And Ethiopia, where is Ethiopia? It is in Africa. So the name of Ethiopian capital is Addis Ababa. As the name indicates, Addis means new, Ababa means flower. So it is a new city which was established in 1878. The whole city is located on a hill valley topography. Hill के ऊपर ये पूरा बना हुआ है. The road pattern bears the influence of the local. The roads, they radiate from government headquarters, Plaza, Arat and Amist Kilo. Now Mercato, वहाँ पे it has markets which grew with time and is supposed to be the largest market between Cairo and Johannesburg. Now it is there's a multi-faculty university also there, a medical college and a number of good schools. All these have made Addis Ababa an educational center. It is also a terminal station for Djibouti Addis Ababa rail route. Djibouti to Addis Ababa rail route का भी ये टर्मिनल सेंटर है. बोले एयरपोर्ट इज अ relatively new airport in this city. The city has witnessed rapid growth because of its multifunctional nature and being a large nodal center located in the center of Ethiopia. ठीक है ना? Now next is Canberra. Canberra was planned as the capital of Australia in 1912 by American landscape architect वॉल्टर बर्ली ग्रिफिन. तो इसको किसने प्लान किया था? अमेरिकन लैंडस्केप आर्किटेक्ट वॉल्टर बर्ली ग्रिफिन ने इसको प्लान किया था कैनबरा सिटी को. ही हैड एविसेज्ड अ गार्डन सिटी फॉर अबाउट 25,000 पीपल टेकिंग इनटू अकाउंट द नेचुरल फीचर्स ऑफ द लैंडस्केप. देयर वर टू बी 5 मेन सेंटर्स, each with a separate city function. During the last few decades, the city has expanded to accommodate several satellite towns which have their own centers. The city has wide open spaces and many parks and gardens. तो अब वहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा वो डेवलप हो गया है, जबकि बेसिकली इट वॉज सपोज टू inhabit 25,000 people only. Now different types. Next topic is types of urban settlements. What are the different types of urban settlements? Depending on the size and services available and functions rendered, urban centers are designated as town, city, million city, conurbation and megalopolis. तो डिपेंडिंग अपॉन देयर फंक्शंस, वहाँ पे किस चीज़ की अवेलेबिलिटी है, वहाँ पे क्या सर्विसेज हैं, उनका क्या साइज़ है, ये डिफरेंट अर्बन सेटलमेंट्स डिसाइड किए जाते हैं. तो फर्स्ट इज टाउन. The concept of town can be best understood with reference to village. Population size is not the only criteria. Functional contrast between towns and villages may not always be clear cut, but specific functions such as manufacturing, retail, and wholesale trade and professional services exist in towns. तो विलेजेस के बाद नेक्स्ट आता है वो है टाउन. अब ये मे बी यहाँ पे कोई वेरियस कोई फंक्शंस हो, मे बी ये मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की वजह से डेवलप हो गया है, या कोई यहाँ रिटेल और होलसेल ट्रेडिंग बहुत होती है, या कोई प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज यहाँ पे है, तो उस वजह से वो टाउन डेवलप हो गया है. तो कई ऐसे कारण हो सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज सिटी. City is larger than a town. A city may be regarded as a leading town which has outstripped its local or regional rivals. In other words of Lewis Mumford, the city is in fact the physical form of the highest and most complex type of associative life. Cities are much larger than towns and have a great number of economic functions. They tend to have transport terminals, major financial institutions, and regional administrative offices. When the population crosses 1 million mark, it is designated as a million city. अगर उसकी पॉपुलेशन 1 मिलियन से ज़्यादा हो जाती है तो उसको मिलियन सिटी के नाम से जाना जाता है. तो cities they are having bank headquarters, colleges, schools, airports, railway stations. So that area which is developed and it is better than a town, bigger than a town, it is termed as a city. Next is conurbation. What is conurbation? Conurbation is it is bigger than a city. The term conurbation was coined by Patrick Geddes. It was coined by Patrick Geddes in the year 1915, and it applied to a large area of urban development that resulted from merging of originally separate towns or cities. The number of cities get together to form a conurbation. Okay. तो जब कुछ पुरानी टाउन्स और सिटीज़ एक साथ मर्ज हो गई तो इट वॉज कॉल्ड कॉनर्बेशन. Greater London, Manchester, Chicago, and Tokyo, they are examples of conurbations. In India, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, they are all examples of conurbations. Million city. The number million city, last is million city, the number of million cities in the world has been increasing as never before. London was the first city to be declared as a million city. London city reached the population of 1 million in the year 1800, followed by Paris in 1850, New York in 1860, and by 1950 there were around 80 such cities. There were 162 million cities in the mid 70s, and there was threefold increase in 205, and the number reached to 438 in 2016. There are 512 cities with at least 1 million inhabitants globally. By 2030, it is estimated that there will be 662 cities which will have at least 1 million residents. Next is megalopolis. This Greek word meaning great city was popularized by Jean Gottman in the year 1957, and it signifies supermetropolitan region extending as union of conurbations. When number of conurbations get together, it is called metropolis. The urban landscape stretching from Boston in the north to south of Washington in USA is the best known example of a metropolis. Distribution of megacities. A megacity or megalopolis is a general term for cities together with their suburbs with a population of more than 10 million people. New York was the first to attain the status of a mega city by 1950 with a total population of about 12.5 million. The number of mega cities is now 31. The number of mega cities has increased in the developing countries during the last 50 years vis-a-vis the developed countries. So, these are the mega cities of the world. Here we have got a list of 31 countries. Okay. Now, problems of human settlements in developing countries. There are many problems faced by the urban centers, especially in developing countries. So, what are these problems? The settlements in developing countries suffer from various problems, such as unsustainable concentration of population. भीड़ भर रही है, बहुत लोग जगह जगह आ रहे हैं, रह रहे हैं. Unsustainable concentration. Second is congested housing and streets. Houses और streets बहुत ज़्यादा congested हो गए. Lack of drinking water facilities. Lack of infrastructure. Electricity, sewage disposal problems, health and educational facilities. All these are having great problem. So let us discuss them one by one. Problems of urban settlements. So problems of urban settlements. Now what happened? People started moving from rural areas to urban centers in search of better employment and better living standard of life, civic amenities, whatever amenities they could get from the urban areas. But what happened, since most of the urban countries, urban areas, they were unplanned, they were not planned properly, so congestion increased in these areas. Now there was shortage of housing facilities and the places started expanding. This created lot many problems, and the growth of slum areas in these towns and urban areas became very common, especially in the developing countries. In many cities, an increasing proportion of population, they live in substandard housing. For example, slums and squatter settlements. What are squatter settlements? Illegal, unlawful settlements. In most million plus cities in India, 1 in 4 inhabitants, they live in illegal settlements, which are growing twice as fast as the rest of the cities. Even in Asia Pacific countries, around 60% of the urban population lives in squatter settlements. So the problems faced were, first were economic problems. The decreasing employment opportunities in the rural as well as urban areas of the developing countries consistently pushed the population to urban areas. The enormous migrant population generates a pool of unskilled and semi-skilled labor force, which is already saturated in urban areas. इकोनॉमिक प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट होने लगी. क्यों? क्योंकि रूरल एरिया से लोग अर्बन एरियाज की तरफ मूव होने लगे. सम वर स्किल्ड, सम वर अनस्किल्ड. और जब ये लेबरर क्लास ने अर्बन एरियाज को फिल करा तो देन देयर वाज शॉर्टेज ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज़. दिस क्रिएटेड इकोनॉमिक प्रॉब्लम. Second is socio-cultural problem. Cities in the developing countries suffer from several social ills like insufficient financial resources, fail to create adequate social infrastructure catering to the basic needs of the huge population. Financial resources की कमी होने से क्या हुआ कि adequate social infrastructure क्रिएट नहीं कर पाए. सो इससे लोगों की बेसिक नीड्स फुलफिल नहीं हो रही थी. द अवेलेबल एजुकेशनल एंड हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज़ रिमेन बियॉन्ड द रीच ऑफ अर्बन पुअर. जो अर्बन एरियाज़ के गरीब लोग थे उनको ये सारी फैसिलिटीज़, एजुकेशन और हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज़ नहीं मिल पा रही थी. Health indices also present a gloomy picture in cities of developing countries. Developing countries का तो हाल बहुत ही खराब था. Lack of employment education tends to aggravate the crime rates. Because of lack of employment and lack of education, people started diverting more towards crime. Juvenile delinquency became very common. Male selective migration to the urban areas distort the sex ratio in the cities. और ज़्यादातर क्या होता था, फैमिलीज तो विलेजेस में रहती थी, सिर्फ मेल पीपल माइग्रेट करते थे टाउन्स की तरफ या अर्बन एरियाज की तरफ. उससे क्या हुआ कि जो सिटीज़ की जो सेक्स रेशियो था वो बिगड़ने लगा, कि वहाँ पे मेल पॉपुलेशन ज़्यादा होने लगी और फीमेल्स तो सब विलेजेस में रहती थी. नेक्स्ट इज एनवायरमेंटल प्रॉब्लम्स. The large urban population in developing countries not only uses and also disposes of a huge quantity of water and all types of waste materials. तो जब पॉपुलेशन बढ़ने लगी तो वाटर पे डिमांड ज़्यादा बढ़ने लगी और वेस्ट और गार्बेज भी बहुत इंक्रीज होने लगा. Many cities of the developing countries even find it extremely difficult to provide the minimum required quantity of potable water and water for domestic and industrial uses. पानी की बहुत कमी होने लगी डोमेस्टिक पर्पस के लिए भी और इंडस्ट्रियल पर्पस के लिए भी. एंड improper sewage system creates unhealthy conditions. Massive use of traditional fuel in the domestic as well as traditional sector severely pollutes the air. जो ट्रेडिशनल सिस्टम ऑफ फ्यूल है वो भी यूज़ करते थे, जैसे कि कोल है, वुड है, उससे बहुत ज़्यादा एयर पोल्यूट होती थी. द डोमेस्टिक एंड इंडस्ट्रियल वेस्ट्स आर आइदर लेट इनटू द जनरल सेवरेजेस और डम्प्ड विदाउट ट्रीटमेंट एट अनस्पेसिफाइड लोकेशंस. तो जो सीवेज होता था, जो गार्बेज होता था इंडस्ट्रीज़ का और घरों का, वो कहीं भी डंप कर दिया जाता था, तो उससे भी बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट होने लगी. ह्यूज कॉन्क्रीट स्ट्रक्चर्स इरेक्टेड टू अकोमोडेट द पॉपुलेशन एंड इकोनॉमिक प्ले अ वेरी कंड्यूसिव रोल टू क्रिएट हीट आइलैंड्स. कि बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रक्चर्स क्रिएट होने लगे रहने के लिए, फॉर अकोमोडेशन, फॉर इंडस्ट्रियल पर्पसेस. तो उस वजह से क्या हुआ कि हीट इंक्रीज़ होने लगी इन एरियाज़ की, क्योंकि वहाँ पे ज़्यादा लैंड हो गया तो वाटर सीवेज कैपेसिटी भी ख़त्म हो गई. जब बरसात होती है, कच्ची ज़मीन होती है, तो वो लैंड ज़मीन में सीप करता है, अंडरग्राउंड वाटर का भी लेवल बढ़ता है. लेकिन जब हर जगह पक्का पक्का हम बना देंगे, घर बना देंगे, इंडस्ट्रीज़ बना देंगे, तो सीवेज कैपेसिटी भी ख़त्म हो गई और उससे हीट भी इंक्रीज़ होने लग गई. लेट्स रीड दिस ब्लॉग. इंक्रीजिंग शेल्टर फॉर द अर्बन पुअर्स. Provision of basic urban services such as education, primary health care, clean water and sanitation. ये सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट थी. Improving women's access to basic services and government facilities. Upgrading energy use and alternative transportation system and reducing air pollution. These became the primary necessities in urban areas. ये सब ध्यान देना बहुत ज़रूरी हो गया था. Now cities, towns and rural settlements are linked through the movement of goods, resources and people. Urban-rural linkages are of crucial importance for the sustainability of human settlements. As the growth of rural population has outpaced the generation of employment and economic opportunities, rural to urban migration has steadily increased, particularly in the developing countries, which has put an enormous pressure on urban infrastructure and services that are already under serious stress. It is urgent to eradicate rural poverty and to improve the quality of living conditions in the rural areas, as well as to create employment and educational opportunities in rural settlements. So, full advantage must be taken of the complementary contributions and linkages of rural and urban areas by balancing their different economic, social, and environmental requirements. So, this completes our chapter, children. Now we will switch over to the next book, from next week, this the chapters which are in our syllabus from this book we have completed all. And now I will also be giving you few worksheets of all the chapters, few self-framed questions that I will send now from one by one from each chapter. Okay, thank you children.